Alright, I'm gonna just open up the video and just be absolutely direct with you. There is so many hoes in Genshin. There is so many. Why is there so many? There's too many of these fine ass hoes that just put in Genshin, and it's absolutely crazy. This is what I was talking about. It is insane that literally there is so many characters within this game that honestly it's unfair to kind of compare them to literally any other medium when it comes down to it, right? Gacha characters are literally just like some of the more peaker designs of characters that you can absolutely find, and they always bring the finest of hoes. It's ridiculous. There's no reason why I should be swimming hard for Columbina and want her feet. There should be no reason why I should be wanting to lick on Nefer's thighs with her genocidal having ass. There is no reason why I should be out here very much be wanting to clap up Sandrone for some reason with her ADHD having ass of just straight up hatred of tsundere nonsense. There is no reason why for this, and yet for some reason I'm here for all of it. I am super down for all of it. You think I will cave in when Alice comes through? You're damn right I'm gonna cave in. I'm ready. I am ultra ready. Okay, now that I got that out the way, let's actually talk about the Dale quest and just things in general about what we saw in Luna 2. Also, I'm gonna clarify, this isn't just about the quest, this is also about people that played it as well and how they kind of perceive things like Rerir and what happened, and just things like that in general, right? So obviously, let's start off with me. I like it. I like the quest for what it was. It was still another banger ass set of quests. My only complaint, it was a little too long. I ain't gonna sit here and lie. Or at least, it wasn't like ultra bad, but I feel like it was so much yapping in the second part. Which granted you needed because obviously you needed to know why Rerir was why he was, and you know, you had to know obviously Nefer's backstory because they're going to do the character story merging with the, you know, actual Archon quest or whatever, right? There's obviously other lore bits that's going to be needed to be explained. So I'm not really mad at the fact that they went ahead and explained all that shit. That being said, it was so much yapping, right? I thought I could complete that shit the day of the patch where it came out, and I'm just like, oh, I can't complete this shit at all. I'm gonna have to save like the rest of this, like Rerir's whole ass fight, until like the next damn day. And that's essentially what it was. And while it was a better experience, I'm still trying not to get hit with any sort of spoilers at the time, right? Because obviously Twitter is hell trying to scroll on there, and then obviously trying to avoid spoilers as you kind of go about it. It's like a crack addiction. They can't stop spoiling the story. It's crack. It's crack in their systems. It's a fana in their system. That's the kind of shit that we end up seeing, right? So obviously, it's like I don't want to see anything, and I want to complete this as much as I can. But if I get hit with one spoiler, I'm pissed, right? So obviously I had to do my damnedest to not see that. Luckily this time I didn't really see much of anything. I will definitely say Act 1 of this cycle is definitely my favorite quest of the two that we gotten recently. Because first of all, not even like 15 minutes into the quest, you get hit with an animation of Rerir trying to beat up Columbina or some shit. And this woman, Columbina, I know this wasn't on purpose or anything, and this was Llama trying to protect her, but this woman aura farmed. And you talking about you don't want to pull this fit. I'd whoop your ass. I'd whoop your ass right here, right now, from east to west. And that's just how I kind of feel, right? Then we have like Rerir trying to grab up on Llama, which, granted, I think all of us would want to grab up on Llama. I'm pretty certain that we all would. But ultimately, though, you know, it just wasn't in the cards for him to beat ass. He ended up just basically, you know, getting finesse in some shape and form, but not to the best of the ability. Varka coming through was also pretty damn cool, right? I am still wondering, do I need to save my primogens for you, Varka? I want to pull you, I do, but also at the same time, Durin's coming next, and then at the very same time, Columbina's probably going to be right after that, so, you know, where do we go? Where do we go? Is Alice also popping through at some point? Where we go for this? I don't know. I could not tell you. Sandrone was also fantastic, but granted, was I expecting anything less? No, not really. We ended up also seeing at one point in time, there was like a little section where the, you know, orphans from the House of the Heart came through. It's nice to see Lynette on screen. Anytime baby girl, cat girl Lynette is on screen, I'm having a great time. And then at the very same time of all this, as well. We got some massive ass Arlecchino ass lore, right? We did. We already knew, obviously, she's part of the Crimson Moon Dynasty. I mean, it's pretty damn obvious if you looked at her verse for 5 seconds of just how she is. But I was very much amazed at how much they went into the hidden lore stuff. When they said they was going to tie up stuff, they really meant it. And they actually kind of did, right? Because when it come down to it, she was like, yeah, there's a book in Fontaine called Parent Harry. If you haven't read that, you can go ahead and go buy it in the Fontaine when you go back there. Which is like, oh, they're just telling people, hey, if you haven't bought the damn book, go buy the book, you dumbass. And that's just kind of how it is, right? And then they also talked about what it actually means, which cleared up a lot of things for me because I didn't fully understand the damn story personally. But when it comes down to it, though, it was less of the Flames of the Two Worlds thing, was less of the whole, you know, like, oh, going into a chimney and asking if the person died or whatever. It was literally a portal to go see the, you know, iridescent moon or the crimson moon, and that's literally how it was, and that's just what she explained. We also ended up learning that her hands is fused with the abyss, and if the traveler were to purify those, it would destroy those completely. Then at the very same time, if she also kind of has way too many emotions riled up on her to the highest extent, it can also harm her with her own fire, which is really sad. I felt really bad for Arlecchino in the whole entire quest because I was just like, damn, she can't have no emotions at all. No wonder why she is the way she is. And at the very same time, it's like, damn, so she's kind of like Raven from Teen Titans a little bit, right? So that's a bit unfortunate. But hey, I'll tell you one thing, at least she does have the iridescent moon in her now. At least she doesn't have to worry about getting bodied by other people so easily now. Like, I imagine she will do a lot of cool ass things at this point. So, and that means technically we have all the moons in our possession now, right? Colleen has the Frost Moon, we have the Eternal Moon, and then, you know, we have Arlecchino having the iridescent one. So we have all 3 moons technically in one place when it comes down to it, and it's fantastic, right? At this point, even if the Doctor were to come through and try to, you know, harass, you know, Arlecchino in some shape and form, I don't think they're gonna do much. I don't think she's not gonna let shit just straight up happen unless the Doctor is just completely outwitting her in some shape and form. But even then, is that even a possible thing? Who really knows? Honestly, who really knows entirely? Also, a fun tidbit I just realized, and maybe I'm not paying attention, but I don't think Nefer and Arlecchino was on screen at the same time. I would have liked to see both of their intellects get challenged a little bit. I would like to see how Nefer would respond to someone like Arlecchino. I know, I feel like this is like a slight bit missed of opportunity. Most likely we will see her sooner rather than later again with Arlecchino, but you know, it just, I don't know, I just feel like kind of a missed opportunity to kind of have those two interact with some shape and form. What else in this quest that I really liked that I want to talk about? Oh, Dory! VIP, MVP of this entire damn quest, if I'm gonna be honest. Which feels a bit crazy to say that, but it's true. Like, we've seen Dory just be this money-hungry, having-ass woman for so damn long, but underneath everything, she's actually a really nice person. Now, I was actually fully aware of her, like, backstory and stuff like that too, about her sister dying, and you know, that's the reason why she is the way she is, trying to, you know, have a lot of money and stuff like that. And you know, I was fully aware of that, but when they actually brought it up in the story, and as you start to slowly see that she's not so hungry about money all the damn time, or at least that's not the ultra priority of things, it's like, oh shit, Dory's actually nice. They actually made Dory even more likable, or at least likable for the average person. That's crazy. Like, I kind of already was liking Dory in the beginning. Like, yeah, obviously she was about money, and the way she first, you know, showed off herself was very much headassery. But ultimately, I never hated Dory. I never just outright hated Dory like a lot of people did. And the fact that they made her likable and understandable is honestly really good. Like, she doesn't want to be shown off as like this good person and all that sort of stuff, but ultimately she is kind of a good person. Let's just be absolutely honest. She might scam every now and again, but she, you know, still is a pretty decent person nonetheless, damn less. So honestly, my loving, because I can't speak correctly, my loving of Dory is actually pretty high up there now. So I have her in a higher respect than what I had her previously. I kind of want to build a character now, but but we'll say that for later. But when it comes down to it, though, yeah, I kind of like Dory a lot more than what I was thinking was going to happen. Then we end up seeing, you know, I guess like Nefer's past, and I kind of want to briefly talk about this a little bit. which I'm not gonna lie, I feel like they just kind of tacked this onto the quest to make it extra long for no reason, right? Like, I know they gotta mix the character quest into the story somehow, but I feel like there was another way they could have done this, and I'm not gonna lie, Nafra's quest kind of is like a whole, or at least her whole part of the story kind of was like a thing you could just not really care too much about, unless you just care about Nefer as a character, which I already had my feelings kind of just being like, nah, I don't really care too much for her, because she doesn't seem like the type of person I would actually care for, and she made it more so, it like made me feel that very same way during her whole quest. Especially with her causing the genocide of those two tribes, in which, granted, they kind of deserved in some shape and form because they, killed all the people on her tribe and killed her father and stuff like that. But the way she went about it, though, had me kind of sweet a little bit, kind of had me like a little bit mad about it in a way, and how she kept calling like her father like an idiot and all that sort of stuff. And it was just not the vibe I was hoping for. It was not the vibe I was liking to see, right? And ultimately, I was gonna hate Nefer to bits because of her being a murderer and she gets a pass for it. But then I thought of something. I thought of something that is personal for me, because in my own ass story, and I know I'm plugging the story blue, but in my own story of JSX4, there's a character called Yukari that did the exact same thing Nefer did. I won't go into it too much, but obviously, if you pay attention to that story, Yukari had her whole mom basically getting, used by people right in front of her, and then they killed her. And so, essentially, she had revenge on the people that killed her mom, and used her mom like that, and also creating this big-ass civil war between the rich and the poor, and just basically left the world after that. And so, I can't get mad at Nefer for basically doing what my Yukari did. I can't get mad at her on that front, and I was going to, but I'm like, if I got mad at that, then that means I had to get mad at that character too. So I can't really, just straight up get mad at that. So I get it, right? I absolutely get it. Does that mean that they're a good person or anything like that? Or I'm super on board? No. And even with my Yukari, that's kind of somewhat the same sort of feeling, except I like my Yukari because I made her. But when it comes down to it, though, that's just how it is. So yeah, I'm not necessarily a big Nefer person, lore-wise, as to why I should care for the character. I just mainly want her just because I wanted to pull for the character, and also she kind of has legs and kicks hard as hell and kind of looks fun to play. So that's just kind of how it was for me. However, Rerir is the hot topic boy of all this conversation. That the one big thing that I've been skipping over this entire damn time. He has very much a lot of people talking about him, whether they are defending him in his action, whether they are saying that he is like one of the best written characters in the game, all this sort of stuff. There's plenty of different reactions that they have gotten about him. Why am I speaking so weird? They have gotten about him due to this damn quest, and there's a lot of different ways to kind of perceive it. My way of perceiving Rerir is that he is a very well written character. I would definitely give you that. And he is very much hateable that you could kind of have. And to be honest, his actions, while I get what he was trying to do, and in certain instances of selfishness, no, I would make some of the same decisions too if I was in that position. But ultimately, he's still a bad person. Man's killed people. He killed children, right? Like I know we don't really think too hard about when a human life kind of gets bodied in some shape and form, but like, he bodied children. That's kind of wild, honestly, for him to just straight up do. It's a little insane. And I'm kind of like, and people kind of like sit there and kind of like defend that and just be like, no, Rerir is just misunderstood or something like that. And I'm like, how? And at least that's the vibe I've been getting from people online, especially when they've been, talking about this quest. And I'm like, if we change Rerir killing, like children to a dog on some Hassan type beat, would that make it better for you to hate him? Because apparently that's just seeing how it works. Kill somebody, you fine. Kill a dog, oh hell, we go to war. Which granted, you shouldn't do either, but I'm just saying. But the damn point is, though, people are very much just on this train of defending him in some shape or form because he had a tragic backstory and all that same things. But it doesn't change the fact that he's a terrible person. It doesn't change the fact that he's bad at all this sort of stuff, right? And Dolendis was no better. She about bad as hell, but she ain't no damn better. The only thing she's good for is back shots, and you throw her away afterward because she was lying about being, part of the Crimson Moon Dynasty and all that sort of stuff, or at least, not really coming to terms with the shit that was kind of going on, and then also still trying to stand by Rerir despite her knowing all the shit Rerir has done. And it's kind of crazy. And yes, Rerir's options is limited. He was an orphan that was raised up by the bitch ass Finster King, which, let's be honest, we all need to beat the ass of the Finster King because most likely 9 times out of 10 he's gonna exist somewhere in the future of the game, and we're probably gonna have to fight him. Right? He might be crazy. He might be crazy, but that doesn't necessarily mean Hoyo can't bring him to life and bring him back in some shape or form and just be like, yeah, here he is. But when it comes down to it, though, the Vinster King was the most one on bullshit, and that's what caused the whole thing with Rerir. But Rerir still went ahead with a lot of stuff that went down. And ultimately, you can't just, pick and choose which things to kind of defend. Both of them were pretty damn bad, and one might be worse than the other, but they're still both pretty damn bad. Now, granted, like I said, with Rerir, he did have limited options. It was basically do what the king says, or you could basically get bodied yourself, which, let's just be honest, that's most likely what was going to happen. He wasn't going to get no damn pardon for Dolendis or himself. He was just going to basically get cooked in some shape or form, which is why he kind of had no choice but to go down this path. And you could very much say that there isn't, there's always a choice that you could do, but also if you were in that position, knowing what he knew and stuff like that, would you so carelessly make that decision of, yeah, I'll sacrifice myself, or yeah, I won't do what the king says, or something like that? Let's be real. 9 times out of 10, a lot of us would probably choose the selfish path. We would probably choose a bad path. We may not like it, but we would choose a bad path. And honestly, that's how you could change up his story if they went down that route, to make him be more sympathetic. If he was forced to kill people, then yes, that would make Rerir more sympathetic, and while still he's a terrible person at times, he's not completely an asshole, right? But ultimately, because he said, I'm good at that, I can actually do this sort of stuff, I'm lucky to have this sort of job, and stuff like that, that just obviously makes him the villain and paints him in an even more terrible light than what already exists. So no, you really can't, defend Rerir's actions. You really can't defend the Dolendis. I don't see how in the hell anybody would defend the Vinster King or anything like that. You can't really defend any of the sinners to a high extent when it comes down to it too, right? That's just ultimately how it is. The only person out of the bunch I would definitely say that I kind of am curious about and I kind of want to see more of is definitely Vedafenir, mainly because it doesn't seem like he controls what he sees. He kind of just sees the future, and that's just how it is, right? Not because he wants to, and not because he even is like trying to control other people, but it's just like, it's just a cooked ass scenario. Of anybody, he doesn't really seem like, at least as yet, he doesn't seem like an ultra bad guy. Because ultimately, the Abyss just really, because the whole thing with, Rerir having like the Abyss in his head talking to him and he thinking that's Vedafenir and it's not, it's like, oh, okay, so we don't have the full story here. And it makes you wonder, back in the Carbear mission, was that actually Vedafenir being on bullshit and talking to the Abyss sibling, or was that the Abyss being on, or was that actually the Abyss mimicking Vedafenir and whatever, right? And it's not Vedafenir himself. Could that be the case? Or is there some deeper ties with Vedafenir and the Abyss that they actually have? We don't necessarily know. While we know why Rerir turned his back on Dane, we don't necessarily know the story between everybody else. Most likely it's a selfish decision with Sir Logi and Rhine Daughter and all that sort of stuff. Most likely there's some nonsense with Harop the Tear, which we finally first heard in this damn quest. But ultimately, I'm more so curious about Vedafenir more than anybody, right? So that's just how it is for me. But anyway, what else happened in this damn quest? The fight was cool with Rerir. It definitely was a long ass quest because I didn't know how to use an effort at all. But it was, it was a fun. I would say I had fun. I had fun struggling for once. I had fun instead of blasting through it with the busted ass characters that you got. So I had fun with that shit, right? And Durin came in with the clutch, trying to transmute power to from Rerir into Columbina with the abyssal nonsense through Ryan Daughter's magic bullshit, which Ryan Daughter just prepares for everything, I guess. But when it comes down to it, that's just how it is. And it was just amazing. Taking his ass to the moon gate, and then, you know, freaking Danes of like, hey bitch, remember me? Get your ass up out of here. And just teleport him somewhere else. It was amazing. But my question is, where the hell did they send him? I thought I was going to get an answer to this. But no, we don't know where the hell is on the other side of that moon gate at all. We don't know what the hell is on the other side. And I'm like, what? Okay, cool, you got rid of the problem for now, because you didn't defeat him, but where the hell is he? Really, the only way you can defeat Rerir is by offing him, but ultimately, you can't really off him because of the Curse of Immortality. So how the hell do you go about this shit? I don't know. And it's very much a tiring time, because we already seen or heard that he'd been torn to shreds for a long time. That's why he was trying to get his body back. So ultimately, it's like, how the hell do we even get rid of Rerir for real? It would probably only come down to the fact that if a Shade can kind of do it, right? If Renova came through. But then it's like, how would that happen? And it's where they sent him, where Renova and them is, we don't necessarily know. I can understand if that's the case. It wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't, considering that, you know, it looks like moon shattering stuff in the background as well. It could be where, you know, the Shades are, since they are beyond the firmament and whatever. Who really knows? I don't know, but I don't think we're gonna see him next quest. We probably will see him sooner, but we probably won't see him next quest when it comes down to it, right? Because it very much feels like they're hyping up like a Hexen Circle thing with Durin and, you know, the vase kind of shattering at the end of the quest, which sounds like a whole thing where Nicole is getting involved, which the fact that that's just how you, hey, if a vase drops, you know, it breaks the sound, okay, I guess Nicole's around somewhere. Like, that's a little weird. That's your calling card, but okay, I guess you just like breaking fancy ass vases. But yeah, essentially that seemed like where we're gonna go. And, you know, since Albedo's here and how much they've been hyping up Mage Alice, I'm pretty sure we're gonna see, you know, that coming to be very sooner rather than later. So that's just gonna be how that goes on that type of note. And then finally, the only real thing that's worth mentioning too, I would say, is one, the Doctor is kind of missing in action, and we don't really know. And honestly, your guess is as good as mine as what the hell is he planning. I don't really know. I doubt it's something to do with Irmin's soul just yet. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens in Noctry, that something happens to the damn tree at some point. But also at the very same time, I'm pretty sure this is probably more Kuvaki moon matter related than it is with anything else. And Arlecchino was kind of just like, yeah, we gotta kind of be careful around this dude because we don't know what the hell he's gonna do. So there's very much that. And I do feel like he's gonna pull some slick shit, though. I do feel like he's gonna pull some slick shit to maybe get one of the moons in his possession of some kind. However it happens, we don't know. I mean, I don't think we're gonna keep the damn moon inside of us. So I would assume it has to go somewhere at some point in time. But who really knows, right? And then ultimately, you know, there is the whole part where Sandrone at the end kind of explained about the whole Narcissocord stuff, which is just repeating some of the old things that we kind of have already known about it if you've done the world quest. But I also did like it because, again, once again, it's explaining it to your face how this sort of stuff kind of worked and what was actually happening. Because I ain't gonna lie, I was half paying attention to the Narcissicord's quest, because obviously it's not a voice, it's kind of hard to pay attention to what the hell is going on, and it's just nice to see somebody actually coming through. Also, that means Sandrone is old as shit, and honestly I got no problem with that whatsoever. Kind of pretty much what people theorized and kind of was guessing that she was part of that group, so it's just nice to see getting confirmed, honestly. But yeah, overall, I did not hate this quest. It was just a lot of talking that I did not care for, so there was that. But when it comes down to it, I would rather you get done with all the Yap session now than wait till later in the patch to kind of do it and just like, we gotta go through all this. So yeah, there's definitely that. And just to be honest, again, this is another good Archon quest when it comes down to it. I was more so hyped about the Arlecchino lore high key when it comes down to it, and yeah, it feels like we could just straight up like trust Arlecchino to a high extent now. It's kind of like we could just, she's on the goodish side, I should say, when it comes down to it. That's kind of like where I'm kind of flowing towards. My only biggest question out of all of this is, again, where the hell did they send Rerir of all places? Because it looks like that one place, if you did the quest inside the chasm in the area of Nagara, like right before you get to like the research facility, it's like that one quest where you travel through that whole ass weird ass purple ass void, and it's like, what the hell is this? Where are we? And it kind of reminds me of that. And then at the very same time, it also makes me wonder as well too, like where is obviously the Torah and all this sort of stuff too, and how is Scaramouche gonna come into play? Because if Durin is here, then that obviously would mean, you know, Scar is somewhere around here too. So most likely we probably don't even see him, maybe even the next quest. I wouldn't be surprised. And I guess the last question I have is just overall, or just Nagara in general, is just what's gonna happen to the entirety of Savannah, I would say. Because if Dory was able to basically have Alice to come through, or basically associate before say that, you know, she has like a little device and whatever, just in case, you know, things kind of go wrong and Savat might not stay safe for long and all that sort of stuff, it kind of makes you wonder, like, what the hell is gonna happen at the end of all this shit, right? It makes me more. I feel like honestly, the way this is gonna go down and the way they've been hinting at this stuff for kind of for years, it's just like, all right, we're gonna do more than just tear a hole open in the sky and everybody sees what the hell is going on. It's gonna be more than that. It might be the collapse of the whole damn sky at this rate. That, or it's gonna be straight up like, you know, some other level of chaos that's going to straight up happen. Because we do know a war is absolutely going to happen. You can play the last, like, music festival quest with, like, you know, the Inazuma whole thing and all that sort of stuff with Ito and Paimon doing a song. At the end of that, really Shogun comes through, and basically it's like, you know, if a whole war were to come through that affects the entirety of the world, we're going to be ready. So we already know that that type of thing is happening, right? That's why you also have those little mini game events where different, you know, countries, when it comes down to their military power, comes through to talk to other countries and whatever, to kind of be like, all right, you know what, so we got some, you know, whole ass strategy guys we need to do. So how do we go about this? That's kind of the thing that we're trying to figure out. And they already have that in the works with those little events that we used to do. So ultimately, the world has been preparing for war. It's just, how is this going to go about? How many, you know, crazy consequences going to be about it? Is it going to be nearly as bad as we think it is? Or is it just going to be something that gets solved up like Genshin normally does? Who really knows? It's at a point right now where we don't have all the solid answers, and I'm kinda in a boat where I feel like this time, when it comes down to how serious things are getting, I kind of feel like Genshin could do it. I feel like they could actually finally do some real deal crazy shit, as they kind of been should for a minute now. I feel like we get to see that. But we'll see that when we get to that point. That's just my thinking though. But still, hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification on the way out. Also follow me on socials, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, Kofi Cash App as well. And until then, boy Jay, signing off. Have a blessed day.